The show where anything goes. Motivation, mindset, recovery, philosophy, and life. We become who we are through what we experience. We all have a story, and this is My Backstory with Josh Boyer.
Oh, yeah, we're recording. All right.
Okay, cool. Well, that's good. Good to be recorded, you know?
Definitely.
Right.
Dude, so here we are, man. We're on the My Backstory podcast in lovely Venice Beach, California. I'm here with Josh O'Brien.
Hey, what's happening?
What's
That's
up,
me.
dude? Yeah, it is you, man. We, you know what's funny is this is the first time I've done this, man. I've never done an outdoor podcast.
Well, the thing is like you said, hey, where do you want to do it? And I'm like, my house is fucked. And then like they don't do podcasts at the Comedy Store before like I think 4 p.m. now or something. And
Nobody's awake yet.
yeah, basically, right? I used to do mine noon to 2 there, and then they changed a lot of things. So it's just like, you know, it'd be cool. Let's do it at Venice Beach. So thanks for letting me have the option of where.
Yeah, no, for sure, bro.
It's just such an ambient, freaking chill place.
It definitely is, man. I used to be really like big time into bodybuilding. Like I loved it. It was like my passion. I mean, I still love working out. Like I'm getting back into it again. Obviously I'm a little limited with the old bacchiotomies that I've had. But,
I bet.
But yeah, we're sitting right outside of Muscle Beach right here. So for those of you that are a bunch of meatheads.
And the cool thing is like, you're into bodybuilding. I'm into body shaming. So like, I'm just going to sit here and just talk shit about everybody. By the way, I'm fat and overweight, so I can get away with it. Look at this motherfucker.
Do we got guys
I'm
over
sorry,
here
it's not PG, is it?
No, dude. You can say fucking.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Let's Cirque du Soleil going on right here.
Dude, let's paint a picture. All right, so you know like those rings that are on chains and shit dangling from what used to be a swing set maybe? I don't know, but there's this dude just like doing cartwheels and weird stuff, but in the air.
Yeah, totally.
It's insane.
It's got a nice six pack though. Got some nice abs.
Yeah, well,
one can help, dude.
I got a keg. I look like a barrel chested. I am a keg.
So I'm gonna let you guys. I'm gonna let Josh kind of share his backstory with you, and we're both veterans, and I'm gonna let him share that story with you, and kind of what he's up to now, and what he has in the works, and where he sees himself going in 5 years, next week, next month, whatever. So go ahead, buddy. Take it away. Share your story, man.
Okay. I was born on January 31st. A long time ago. I'm here.
What year are you born? How old are you?
I'm not telling that. I'm an entertainment. I'm not allowed to share those things, sir.
Stop it.
Well, no, I'm 42.
Yeah. Are you 42?
Yeah, 42.
I wouldn't have guessed 42.
Well,
I was going to say 39.
Thank you. I will take that very much so.
Yeah.
No, which is cool. I did 20 years in the military. I was a Navy CB. I loved it. So like 8 deployments, summer combat, most were like, you know, Puerto Rico, Okinawa, that kind of shit. And then started doing stand-up comedy halfway through it. I'm going to give you the cliff notes and then I'll break it down. So like I did that and then started doing stand-up comedy halfway through my career. And then I finished it off where I started my comedy. I retired doing a roast retirement ceremony at the world famous Comedy Store. And then what's cool that brought you and I together is one of your friends, and a friend of mine is a doorman at the Comedy Store, Stephen Rudolph. And he
Randolph. Did you say Rudolph?
Did I say Rudolph?
Rudolph. Come on, dude.
Well, no, like fucking, we got Waldo over here and Stephen Randolph. Did I say Rudolph?
You said Rudolph, dude. Yeah.
Sorry. This real great friend of mine, I'm going to butcher his name. It's funny too, because like you do comedy shows and somebody you know, they'll just totally like say your name completely wrong. Or my name's always spelled with an A-N on lineups. So, all right. So Steven was a door guy and he's still there. And, you know, shout out to that cat. And it sucks because like, fucking, Brody Stevens just passed away. And he was like one of 2 students from, him and Eric Oligny were Brody U. They had a Brody University and they went to Brody U. Yeah.
Nice.
And, you know, and, which one of the hardest, and I really feel for that cat because like one of the things that brought me to do my podcast, which is called Civilianization, and thank you for coming on. I'd love to have you on again.
Yeah, for sure. That was awesome.
Was just that whole transitional period between going from veteran to civilian, because a lot of people are trying to figure out who the fuck they are and all that other stuff. And I think that's what really hurts a lot of a lot of people, because if you spend a lot of time doing something and then you go into something else and you're told you can't do that again, you're trying to figure out who you are and all that other fun stuff. And a good buddy of mine, Sean Michael Malik, he was a comic, but he was also he was Air Force, but he was a what do you call it? Security forces. So he was like an Air Force, yeah. So you know what's up. You know exactly what's up.
For sure. That's what I did.
Yeah. So and he was out of Dayton, Ohio, but he spent a lot of time in Iraq and doing convoy security and shit like that. Ironic that a fucking helicopter CH-53 Echo is flying by us. But so yeah, he was doing the security stuff in Iraq. So we had a lot of the same stories and like same places, different times. And it was always cool. He was like one of my best friends and he took his life, and fucking the bummer, dude, obviously. But that's one of the things I was just like, okay, well, let's try to figure out what's going on. Was there anything we could have done to help this cat out? But I'm sorry to take this in a whole dark direction. Already right off the hey, let's listen to Josh O'Brien and let's kill ourselves. But no, but it's just like, it's just like trying to figure out, okay, what is it that we can do to help each other out a little bit more? Is it, and a lot of times too, I think obviously you have to take responsibility for your own actions and all that other shit. But if you got some bad things going on in your life, just kind of reach out, hit somebody else up. You don't necessarily have to say I got shit going on that's fucking you up. But I mean, just ask somebody else how they're doing, and then you can just be like, oh, okay, and you can kind of relate.
That's what I was gonna say. Is I think it goes both ways. Is that I think when you're down in the depths of depression, I mean, I've known people that have committed suicide and whatnot, and I think they're not in a place mentally, spiritually, emotionally to even reach out to anybody. They just don't. They're just in a dark spot. So I think part of the responsibility is the people you care about. Check in with them.
Yeah, man.
Make sure they're cool.
And the thing is, too, is like when you're asking for help, you kind of feel like a pussy. You know what I'm saying? So and you're not really. Oops, kids.
Yeah, kids right there. You're dropping F-bombs.
Oh, fucking A, man.
Sorry, kids.
Don't go in public, fuckers. Oh, shit.
That's what you get. They turned around and looked at you. It's so bad.
They didn't hear me. I got headphones on. Man, but anyways.
Dude, their dad's going to come over and hit you with a skateboard,
that's
bro.
That's all right, man. I need to spit
We're
chiclets.
We're good.
That's okay, man. I need to spit some chiclets. But, it's just, the thing is, too, I think a lot of it is just when you realize that, hey, man, we got a lot of problems. We got a lot of issues. We got to help each other out. Because a lot of times you just, figuratively and literally, you just knew exactly where you stood. Like on the 1st and the 15th, you muster, formation, whatever you want to call it. You stood at, fire team leader spot 1, freaking squad leader here, platoon commander there, blah, 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 right guide, etc., etc. You know that. And then on the 1st.
It's all regimented.
Yeah, the money's coming in on 1st, money's coming in on 15th, that kind of stuff. But when it comes time to be a civilian, it's kind of like, what the fuck do I do now? And
totally.
So
they say they takes you what? I think it's, I want to say it was 3 months for every year that you were in or some shit.
I wouldn't doubt it. I think, because it's like, they say that a month for every year if you break up with somebody or something like that, if you're in a relationship or, and you're trying to adjust to who you really are, that kind of stuff's always kind of a trip. But, so that's kind of like one of the reasons why I got into doing my podcast. Plus, not just so much the downer side, but on the plus side is there's a lot of things that, we've gone through a lot of places and it's just cool to hear another person's perspective of Okinawa. You know what I mean? Or there might just be something silly that you didn't think of, like having something on your DD-214 before you separate from the military. It's like, oh, I should have done this, Right. But, whenever you have somebody that has, something cool to add, and you might find a good, thrift store in freaking Pohang, Korea that you didn't know existed because you're on the, and that's why I love a lot of the people that listen to the podcast now are vets and so.
Is that your target audience where you when you started, I know you want to help with the whole suicide awareness and stuff like that,
but initially when I started, I was already doing stand-up comedy. I was in Virginia Beach. It was called Josh O's Radio Show. I just changed the name. I kept the RSS feed, for those that are into podcasting, you get it. I know you understand, but, but yeah, so I did was and it was Josh O's Radio Show. And I used to talk to hockey enforcers and I had comedians on there. My favorite was Pierre-Luc Lieutenant LeBlanc. Yeah, he has a record for the longest name in NHL history. And it was crazy. And it was a week after I had Lewis Black on, and Lewis Black, I'll get into why I got into doing comedy in a little bit, but Lewis Black was there on the day that I'm like, this is what I want to fucking do. But LeBlanc was on, and I was asking him questions, and we're going over fight videos. Like him and Cam Jansen had like this amazing kick-ass fight, you know, and he's like, yeah, man, you think it hurts more on your face, but no, man, my knuckles kind of hurt a little bit, but the worst hurt that hurt the most is your ankles, man, you know, and you're fighting like that because you watch these guys just swinging.
Oh, yeah.
And if you got time and you're like sitting in the office doing something right now and you can pull up Cam Jansen versus LeBlanc, Pierre-Luc Letourneau LeBlanc, watch this fight, and it's just blow for blow. These guys are holding the V-neck of their jerseys, and one's just punching the other in the face, and it's just
What's
like
the rule
back
there?
and forth.
Do you just fight until someone hits the ground?
Usually, nowadays they try to split them up, but it's always been until somebody has an unfair advantage. You know what I mean? Like when you see that this guy, that's usually a lot of times too. You'll see a lot of times where there's business fights and there's personal fights. You know, like.
Yeah.
The stuff between Detroit and Colorado, two of my favorite teams to watch go at it back in the day, that was strictly personal. You know what I mean? But when you got two like enforcers, basically, if you watch half of like Larocque's fights, you'd be like, okay, good luck, buddy. Before he fights, I mean, this guy, George Larocque, would drop down, okay, good luck. And then, you know, and then they, oh, all right, let's go. All right. And then they just fight. And then after it, they just tap each other. Like, you know how like when somebody taps out from a fight, well, that's like after the fight. They tap each other like on the arm, like, oh, good job, you know, blah, blah, blah.
Awesome.
You know, it's like some respect thing, and then they go each other's way because a lot of times, you know, you got somebody took a cheap shot on one of your guys, you know, and you got to go after them. And it's just, you know, it's kind of like the same shit that happened back in the day at the bar, you know, like when somebody goes after one of your guys in your squadron, your battalion, your company, whatever, you're like, nah, don't fuck with my dude. Nah, you know what I mean? That's it. And other times too, you know, it's a physical game and you're down, so frustrations are ramping up and you want to get a spark on the bench for your boys. So, you know, you just drop the gloves and you go, and these two guys, they just duke it out a little bit, and then usually usually the business fights.
Were you a hockey guy? Like growing up?
Yeah. I love hockey growing up.
I've never been to a game. Ever.
Really?
Yeah,
we got to change that.
Well, I went to one. That's not true. I went to one game in San Antonio after boot camp.
Oh, cool. The Rampage, right?
I want to say it's the Iguanas.
Okay.
Am I tripping? Is it the Iguanas?
No, it might have been back
Lizards,
then. You know,
Iguanas? I don't know, dude.
But I think San Antonio Rampage is the current American Hockey League team. But I mean, it could have been like a different league back then too. Yeah. What year was this?
It was right after I graduated boot camp. So I got out. I think I graduated in January of 2001.
Okay. Yeah, so it could have been a whole other team, and the thing is too is when lower leagues like
it was amateur.
They change names like all the time and stuff like that, and then they also change the league affiliations. Like, I was big into hockey as a kid growing up, but when I was stationed in Virginia Beach, I was in construction battalion maintenance unit 303, CBMU, or I'm sorry 202. I was at CBMU 202, and 303 was the East Coast or West Coast. But on Little Creek, and what we did was basically maintenance and construction around the bases and stuff, and then like a lot of times team guys, if they need help, we'll go fucking fix them their shit. I don't know how many times I had to take a fucking grinder because somebody in SEAL Team 4 decided not to remember what their goddamn padlock was. So, you know what I mean? Or like their combination for their super lock, and we're out there grinding their shit.
Right.
But but anyways, and then I went to the amphibious battalion there too. So I did back-to-back tours in Virginia Beach, so 6 years, and that entire time, I worked a night job for the Norfolk Admirals, which is American Hockey League, and now it's East Coast Hockey League. So it's like compared to baseball, I went from AAA to AA baseball. You know, and it's cool because when they bought the team. Anaheim Ducks bought the team and they transferred them from there, and now they're the San Diego Gulls. So I go down to San Diego, and a lot of the
San Diego's a NHL team?
No, AHL.
Oh, okay.
American Hockey League. So it's like it'd be like AAA baseball. You know what I mean? You have the Tigers have the Mud Hens. This would be like, one step down from the NHL.
So would you say that's your favorite sport, hockey?
Oh yeah, it's my only sport I care about.
Really?
Yeah.
No baseball, dude?
No, not. I mean, the thing.
It's like un-American, bro.
No. The American thing, and I think I'm very American when I say this, is to go to a game with family and hang out, watch the game, and crack a ball and throw some catch and shit like that. That's fun, But like as far as following stats wise, it's just like my dad's also a sports writer, so he did a lot of baseball stuff and. And that's why one of the things too, I kind of ruined baseball for me because baseball took my dad away.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just
sense.
like, and then like, but hockey was just so much faster and more energetic. And you could see you can instantly see the team shit happening right now.
Yeah.
And that's what's addicting to me. And then I'll give you a couple of my stickers. I don't know if I have any on me, but on my sticker, my logo.
Yeah.
It's got instead of a Navy, it's got the CB, but what I did was I replaced the CB's head with mine. You know what I mean? So it's like instead of the CB head, it's mine. Right. And then instead of like a pipe wrench or welder, fucking tools and shit, what it is in the backhand, it's a M4 and then crossed over with a hockey stick.
Nice.
And then the other hand is like a thumbs up, and then the very front is holding a microphone because comedy's the future. I'm always going to carry the military with me, but it's in the past and it's in the back. And I crossed it over the hockey stick because most of the leadership shit I learned was just as a kid watching people play on teams, and come together and stuff like that. So I utilized that throughout my military career. And the thumb up was initially a middle finger. And then I'm like, nah, because then, not because I could get censored, but what's even cooler than flipping somebody off and telling somebody to go fuck themselves? I'm just saying that because of kids. But what's so much better than to do that is look happy, dude. Just be happy.
Kills people, dude.
And it's just like, you know what? You have no power over my happiness, man. And then when you figure that shit out, fucking life is golden.
So why'd you get into I know you said why you got into comedy, why you started your podcast. Why comedy though? Because this is just my it's cool. My understanding of comedy is that a lot of the comics that I know have the most peppered past of anybody. You know what I mean? Like very deep.
When you
dark,
say peppered, I totally picture somebody shooting themselves in the face with birdshot. So yeah, exactly. And it also reminds me of this girl that we used to call it birdshot, but another reason. But well, I lost a buddy of mine on a camp. I lived on a camp named after a buddy of mine, one deployment, and I always loved comedy. You know what I'm saying? Comedy's always been really cool. Yeah. And then I got, I wouldn't say fast, but because fast is, I got promoted at a decent rate. You know what I mean?
What'd you get out of?
First class. But I made first in 9 years. You know what I mean? So I'm 86 in 9 years, but I stayed that the rest of my career. And a lot of that's my own fault. You know what I mean? Some of it was career paths I chose. I did that back to back in Virginia Beach that kind of shot it. But the real thing is when you have a force that dropped 33%, we've had years where it's just there's only 1 to 3 people promoted to my job, my MOS. And there's only 600 people that do what you do in the military all together. It's pretty crazy.
Pretty hard to promote.
Yeah, man. So, but I was on the USO, or I wasn't on the USO tour. I was in Kuwait, chilling out Camp Arif John for a little bit, and what came through was Robin Williams, Lewis Black, Kid Rock, Lance Armstrong. That year's Miss America. They're doing this USO tour, right?
Yeah.
And Lewis Black was hilarious, and Kid Rock did songs and all that. But what was really cool was Robin Williams, and that when Robin Williams took the stage, it was just you didn't think about any of that. Usually, and the vets that are listening to, especially senior leadership, you're always thinking about bullets, beans, band-aids, bad guys, blah, blah, blah. What gun truck's up, what weapons are good to go. Do we need 7.62? Do we need 5.56? Do we need fills, or do we need to change over on crypto tonight? Fucking, do we have all the fucking VRC 92s, 90s, 119s? Do you got all the comms? You got a million things going on all at once. Whose wife's leaving them? Whose kids learning how to talk? And that's a nonstop thing. That's just it's like the Matrix is happening. And they're all this shit is going on. But for the very first time, my mind just went blank and I could enjoy something. You know what I mean? And it was this comedy. And I'm like, man, this is what I want to fucking do. And the funny thing is, like, in the middle of a set, so Google this shit too. Here's another thing. Do your homework with Josh O'Brien. All right. Another thing too is if you type in Robin Williams, Kuwait, in the middle of his set, a retreat goes down. So like right in the middle is like ba 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 ba, and you see, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000, a lot of people doing about face towards the flag right in the middle of your set. Imagine that shit. And it just like, it was crazy. And at the end of it, you know, at the end of it, when the flag finally went down, I screamed, "Play ball!" And so if you listen to it, you'll hear me scream, "Play ball!" And that was like my call sign for a little bit. It was "Play ball," because you know, awesome. Where's play ball? Paul, this play ball, or you know, Papa Bravo or whatever. But it was funny, and that came in, and then at the end of it, he's like, "What's that? Reveille? A retreat? What the fuck? A retreat? Oh shit! What's coming from that way? Retreat!" And he just riffed on it, and I'm like, "Oh my god!" And that was the day I'm like, "That's what I want to fucking do."
It's awesome,
you know. Which cool was fast forward to you know, just some bad shit, man, like happened on deployment. You come back and then you know, my wife at the time, her dad was sick, so he went from, or you know, he was having mesothelioma, some lung shit.
Yep.
So she went back to go take care of him in Ohio, and they asked me to extend as an instructor, so I did. So I stayed back, and so I went and I taught Blue Force Tracker and some convoy stuff, you know, basic convoy stuff and tactics and blah blah blah, and you know, good old 5s and 25s, good stuff. So I stayed back and I taught, but all my friends were married and had kids, and the wife's back in Ohio. So I was like, oh fuck, man, I had nothing. And I was getting really depressed, man. I was going through some shit. I had nobody to really talk to. Next thing you know, Lewis Black was doing Root of All Evil. And so I went to a filming of that, and it was really cool. And at the end of it, he's like, "Anybody want to say anything? You know, thanks for coming, blah, blah." And I was like, I waved my hand like, "Hey, Josh O'Brien, Naval Mobile Construction Battalion 40. You came out during the holidays. I really appreciated it." And he went into a whole tangent about how he loved doing that for the troops, and how Lance Armstrong used to run, you know, one ball and all with everybody else, and sit in the mornings and did PT with people. And then
that's awesome.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool too. And then and it was just really, really cool. It took my mind off of things, and I'm like, oh man, comedy's cool, watching this shit. So I went to watch Jimmy Kimmel Live. The audience, I was happened to be wearing a Red Wings jersey, and there's the Winter Classic one, and Don Barris, the MC, what do you call it, the audience warm-up, was like, "Hey, come hang out at the Comedy Store." So I did, and I just meeting some cool comics, and I was like, "Oh, that was funny." And talking to Steve Simone or somebody, like, "Dude, that fucking bit was funny." And he's like, "Oh yeah, well thanks, buddy," you know. And just talking about that, he's like, "What do you do?" I was like, "I'm in the military." I mean, I look like it, you know, haircut, all that other shit. I was actually in shape. I know rounds of shape, but you know, but anyways, yeah. And he was like, "Oh, I thought it was really cool," because when I was deployed, a lot of times, like we're like, my joke is this is like, it's a bit I do when I do a set, but like SEALs, they're rock stars. Everybody knows what Navy SEAls are, and nobody knows what a CB is, but we're like the roadie. Like, you know, they go everywhere. They got fully automatics. They get book deals and shit. And we just go, we build like the stages, but we build kill houses and, you know, blah, blah, blah. Right. So, and he thought that was like the coolest shit. And he was telling me about being a USO comic. And then I was just really, really inspired by it. And he's like, "You should go up." And I'm like, fuck that. I was like, literally, like, I could teach a class, because those are people that had to be in a class, you know?
Right.
But as far as just going up on a regular mic, I was scared shitless, dude.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And so, you know, there's a friends and family, and then there's whatever. And it was, the Comedy Store is a lot different. Like now, it's fucking amazing. There's so many great comics that are there, dude. You know, Randolph has a great time right now, dude, because it's fucking huge, dude. It's great. But then it was like barely anybody came to the Comedy Store. So Benji, a comic, fucking slid me in between other comics, dude, just to do a couple minutes and shit. He was the one who was really, really cool to me when I first started hanging out. And then I just was like kind of like a hanger outer, you know? Yeah. The next thing you know, everybody was just like, you know, go up, transferred to Virginia Beach. and I was the ops guy. I was the ops chief, even though I was first E6, but I was the ops chief in Virginia Beach. And this was like 2 years maybe after I already transferred. And I really wasn't going up doing the comedy thing. And then Pauly Shore came through with Steve Simonis' opener. Yep. The week before that, I was just hanging out with Bobby Lee, talking about Comedy Store stuff. And then when Pauly brought Steve, it reaffirmed that, man, I should be doing this. He's like, dude, you're funny, man. You got funny stories. You really should start going back up. So I started doing fucking the open mic scene in Virginia Beach from then on out. And then I just didn't stop. You know what I mean? I didn't look back, and it's just grinding it out. I mean, now I'm fortunate enough to be like, I'm at 95.5. I'm on KLOS. I'm on the fucking radio here in LA. It's like a historical radio station. 50 years just hit, man. It's cool. But then it was just, I never thought I was gonna,
How do you do your sets? How do you come up with your material?
A lot of it is just like, oh shit, I better write that down right now. You know what I mean? Really? Or something will be funny, or you'll say something different and you just put it down, or just things that'll happen. Like there are some crazy shit. Like, dude, this is not a bit, but it turned into a bit because it happened. Like you've dealt a lot with the VA, I'm sure, right?
Oh, totally.
Dude, so all right, so check this shit out. So they send me to because and I'm not dissing the VA for the most part when I say this, because most of the people at the VA give a shit. The people who don't care are the ones that help you with your claims. You know what I mean? The ones that are on the other side of the fence saying, no, you don't get this.
Right.
But the VA over on Wilshire, they're actually pretty good people, usually. So I go to this appointment and they're like, I guess I'm talking to a counselor on this day. So I go in and I'm talking about this thing that happened on MSR Mobile. Like one of my dudes hit a freaking IED. He lost a couple toes, back of his cat. I'm talking horror stories, man. Right. And I'm like, I'm just laying it on. And I'm a comic, so it's kind of like I can get into a zone where I can talk about things and it doesn't really hurt me emotionally, as long as I, push it off, as long as I push the mute button on it. So I'm talking about like, all right, this stuff I saw in Fallujah and blah, blah, some graphics things. And then like in the middle of it, she looks at me and she says, so how does having HIV affect your day-to-day life with this? I'm like, what? Dude, I ain't got AIDS. and I'm like, and she's like, well, I mean, that's why you're here, right? And I'm like, no, this is the shittiest way to tell somebody they got AIDS, man. And then so like, and the Padawan learner guy that's with her is like, oh, I didn't see it in this record. And I was like, I know, because I don't got it. I have a vitamin D deficiency, so quarterly they do my blood, right? And I'm always like, check for everything. I did some freaky shit in Toronto not too long ago because I was opening up for Jason Rouse. What do you expect? Right. So like, so they looked in the thing, and then it's just like nothing's there. And then she's like, well, why are you here? I'm like, I don't know. I just had an appointment, so I showed up. Yep. Well, come to find out, that's specifically what they do. They are specific PTSD counselors, I should say, one's for that. Yeah, exactly. She was the one for that. Then and then the next door person is the one for chemo and cancer and shit. And then somehow or another, I just got slid into this. So I went through all this stuff, and she's like, this isn't going to be in your skit. And I'm like, no, but it'll be in my set. Like, what do I do?
That's fucking hilarious.
It wrote itself. And then like a couple days later, I'm going fishing with my buddy in San Diego. Like my first crew leader, shout out to Builders West. If you're in San Diego and you need some construction, I'm doing a commercial for you. If you're in San Diego and you need some construction done, Builders West. And I'll stand on that work, because this guy was like my first crew leader. I learned a lot of lessons off of him when we were CBs, when I was young in my career. And so he got out, he did his stuff. He did 2 tours. Got out, and then that's what he does in San Diego. He started his own construction company and all that other stuff. And
is that common among CBs?
Oh yeah, man. A lot of times CBs will either get out and do that, but mostly they'll go right into doing a similar job on a base.
Yeah. Well, a guy that I grew up with that was a CB. You guys connected. Remember Brett Johnson?
Yeah. I thought that was really cool, man. I was like,
operator.
No way. I thought that was really cool. I think we're in Korea together. It's like pretty crazy. So like, speaking of to bring it back to the thing, like we're going fishing and we're going underneath the Coronado Bridge, and I'm like, hey guys, I see something floating. So hey guys, want to see a dead body? Because it looked like a floating bag or maybe a dead sea lion or something. So we turned around and I just saw it stand by me. So I thought that'd be funny to say. I didn't really think it was a dead body, but it was a dead body.
It definitely was a dead body.
I was like, oh my God, this poor bastard's floating upside down. And we didn't know his name. So we just called him Bob for lazy writing purposes. And so like, next thing you know, you got to call the harbor patrol. So the harbor patrol comes in. There's a dead dude just like floating there. And then they they put a tarp on him and then they put him on the back of the boat and then they take him away. And before we're even around, because you got an aircraft carrier in, and before we're even around the bend, like right as you're coming across the airfield, if you know that area, you know what I'm talking about. Get a phone call. What really happened was they just asked if we needed counseling. Derek's like, nah, we're good. You got 3 combat veterans in here. We've seen worse, but thanks, and he hung up. But the joke goes like this. It's like, they passed the phone around and he asked me, he's like, hey, do you guys need any counseling? I said, no, the last time I had talked to a counselor, I found out I had AIDS. And they're like, what? I was like, don't worry, it cleared up within 5 minutes. We're good. And he's like, oh, okay. Nervous laugh. I guess I'll let you go. And then that's that. And I was like, yeah, we're good.
That's fucking funny, dude.
But that's like, so like I said, like comedy just kind of writes itself sometimes, but other times you're just thinking about putting what words sound funny. So you put them together and the whole thing is just, you never turn it off. Yeah. You're just constantly like, what would be funny,
Do you use it like you think as a coping mechanism too?
Yes, exactly what it is. Yeah. Like the thing is, it's got so much as a coping mechanism because I was, my last deployment, because I wanted to do one more deployment. So I dropped order. I was a training chief and at the amphibious battalion in Virginia Beach. Cush job. I loved it. I went to different places. I probably would have got promoted one more time if I stuck it out, but I didn't want to fucking do any more time. I want to do 20 in a roll. But I dropped and I went to a battalion so I could do one more fucking CB deployment. Yeah. And I'm like 2 months into it, and my lieutenant's like, he's going through some shit, man. I was just like having, I didn't really have that release. Come to find out, I wasn't doing stand up. That's so they sent me to a head shrinker, talk to them, and I was just telling them like things I was going through. It's just the whole like being able to get it out, and then that whole. I think a lot of it too is like as a comic, you're always looking for some sort of an approval. I mean, I'm doing my shit because I want to do it and I love it, but at the same time, you want people to like your jokes. You want to write hard so people get it. Yeah, they get it. They get me, Brody Stevens. God, I miss that dude. But so like and that's the thing, trying to figure out where I could go up. So there's this club called the Jet, and it's right outside Gate 2 on BC Street in fucking Okinawa. And I loved it. Like in 96, 97 was my very first deployment. Right. And they have a cover band, and the guy in the cover band now owns the bar, so it's just, yeah. And it's cool. Cause like, I remember being 19 years old, drinking beer in this fucking club, and now it's the same thing, but fast forward to like, at the time I was like 39, Yeah. And I asked the guy, I was like, hey man, cause I love going and hanging. It's like, hey man, is it cool if I do comedy during your breaks? And they usually take like a 10-15 minute break. And he was like, yeah, cool. And the thing is like doing comedy in between bands is a motherfucker because you just spent however long it was, and everybody wants to talk. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of like, well, it is what it is. So, and that's the thing too, instead of getting discouraged, I just focused on the people that actually wanted to watch comedy. So like, I didn't care anymore about the people that were talking. I could figure out a way to switch them off. I think being a military recruiter, I was a Navy recruiter for 3 years too. You just kind of learn how to selectively hear things. So I just like, I honed in on the table that was actually looking at me, those guys. And I would I would go in on that. And I had a lot of fun, which was cool because I ended up giving out stickers and, getting some people to listen to the podcast and all that other fun shit because that. Nothing too is I couldn't tour. So I started doing my podcast weekly there. I'd sit Indian style and I took those metal trash cans and I flipped one upside down, I had a room to myself. I'm in East 6 barracks. And I just, I put my Zoom recorder. I didn't have mics. You know how like you have the speakers on the Zoom. So I just talked right into my Zoom like that. And then
how's the audio on that? I've never tried it.
Oh, it's actually really good. I didn't. Yeah, I loved it because it had such a good natural sound.
Yeah.
And you don't notice it until you leave it. And then when you go to like using mics, then you're like, oh, okay, it's a little bit more clear and more crisp.
I think one of the next podcasts I do, I'm gonna have to try them, see how it works
just
out.
Fuck off with it.
I tried having them with the mics and that on, and it was just too much. It's picking up too much sound. And so I gotta try just using those and see. Dude, if it turns out to where it's like, oh dude, like it's just as good a recording as using the mics, dude, it'd make my traveling so much easier.
If you're in a room, it's just as good. If you're in a room, but like right here, there'd be too much ambience.
Yeah.
That would be picking up. But I had Steve Miller, not that Steve Miller. I had Steve Miller.
Not that Steve Miller.
I've had Steve Miller, the writer, punk rocker, not the Steve Miller that's,
The Steve Miller brand?
Yeah, not that one. That's one. But on mine, and we did it in a German restaurant in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And he wrote a book on the Ramones. He wrote like Detroit Rock City, a lot of cool shit like that. And it worked. It came out pretty good. It wasn't too much ambience going on in the background. It's just make you have two connect things for your mics.
Yeah.
So just turn them so it's just like it points towards each other, and it'll only pick up the direction it's coming from. So
I like it.
I had a lot of fun.
So what are you up to now? I mean, you're working at KLOS and you're working at the Comedy Store. But what's in the what's your?
I wish I was working at the store. I do the Comedy Store's podcast and stuff like that, and the store's like my mecca. Like I grind out. I try to hit at least one mic at night. You know what I mean? So, and sometimes it doesn't work, but I'll compile it. So if I miss one tonight, I'll do two tomorrow. You know what I mean? So I try to. By the end of the week, I want to hit seven. No, every day. It's the same shit I used to think of while still in the uniform. Like I got to be better than I was when I woke up this morning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, tonight when I go to bed, I better be better than I was when I woke up. So there's just always something new you're trying to pick up on. But no, I'm doing the KLOS thing. I love it. Tuesdays and Thursdays, if you're listening to 95.5 KLOS, I drive around on Tuesdays in the fucking big ass RV. And it might take like, if you're from California, you'll get this. So I do like these crazy ass loops. It'll be like the 10 to the 605 to the 210 to the 118 to the 405 back to the station in Culver City, or I'll take the 405 south to the 57 to the 5. Or it's just weird shit, and then back to the 10 and then back in. And then Thursdays I'm like so like today, for example, I go to wherever close to a concert is that the tickets are. So if it's at the Forum, I'll probably go someplace near Inglewood or around Inglewood. If it's at the Glen Helen Amphitheater, I might be in San Bernardino, or like if it's a Rose Bowl, I'll be in Pasadena. So if like Metallica is coming around and I got like 6 tickets to give away for Metallica, I'll be like somewhere near the Rose Bowl. We'll talk about it, and then you gotta come find me, and I give them away.
How did you land that gig?
Well, I was going for the street team gig, and I didn't think I was gonna get a job there. I was just like, fuck, I'm waking up at 4 PM. I'm retired. I ain't got nothing else going on.
Right.
Doing the Comedy Store thing, and doing a comedy club, and then hanging at the Comedy Store, and then waking up or going to bed at like 5 AM.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God damn, I need to do something. So I went to the they did like a casting call for the street team. I get in there, and the dude, Kahal, my boss, was just like, oh, I see here that you drove big trucks when you were in the military and blah blah blah. I'm like, my trade is a steelworker, as a welder, but I did get a lot of licenses. So I was like, yeah, man, driving trucks suck, but I can do it.
Yeah. And
he's like, oh, okay, well, that sucks, man. Cause we got an RV. I'm like, that's not a big truck, dude. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mind an RV because and he's like, for real? I'm like, nah, that's nothing. I'm thinking big trucks is like a semi with 2 freaking Humvees in it, or, a light plant and all that other shit, or a Conex box behind a semi. I'm thinking that is a big truck, so fucking RV, nothing. So then I landed that gig, and then we're doing a show somewhere, and we had a lot of bikers that were coming up, but all the bikers were like prior service.
Yeah.
And so I was fucking with some of the Marines. It was like, oh, look at this fucking guy. Sorry, dude, we don't have any crayons for you to eat. And he's just laughing and shit. He's like, fuck you, man. So we're going back and forth, you know.
I actually just bought some, by the way. Sorry to interrupt you. I just bought some crayons. Have you heard of that company, Crayons Ready to Eat?
No.
Dude, so there's a Marine. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. So there's a Marine that started
CREs? That's awesome.
So he got out of the military and he made some crayons ready to eat. So it's actually, you can draw or color with these crayons and you can fucking eat them too. So I bought them right before Halloween for my kids. You know,
that's fucking crazy, dude.
Cool.
But it makes perfect sense.
Totally,
I love it.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry I interrupted.
No, totally cool. We're doing shameless plugs this whole time. Civilianization podcast on iTunes. So like, no, totally cool. But yeah, so I was talking shit with these, you know, these bikers, and Frank was just kind of looking at me like, oh shit, you know, like
it's about to go down.
Yeah, pretty much. And then it was just like, oh no, I was a CB man. And like, oh CBs, man, you guys are fucking crazy, man. You're fucking awesome, man. And then he's telling this Marine biker dude's telling this other Marine biker dude from a specific club I won't name. They're like talking about things and just that they've seen CBs do that are crazy and shit. And I'm like, wow, this is a dude who's in in an organization labeled crazy, and they're talking about us. It's crazy. I was like, fuck yeah, it's cool. And then like, man, it's fucking badass. Give me a big old bro hug and, you know, all that other stuff. And he's like, thanks. You know, I was like, no, thank you. It was just one of those, you know, mutual, like, no, thank you type things. And then
you're the best.
Yeah, exactly. And Frank was just like, oh, this is cool. And then he's like, man, I want you to call in more. Or actually not more, but I want you to call in. So then what I do is I go places and I call in like, hey, I'm at this place, you know, I'm at this freaking cemetery. What's it like? It's dead. You know what I mean? Like just whatever. And I just fortunate enough to crack these guys up enough for them to want me to stick around. So
how long you been there?
Almost 3 years, man.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So like I retired in 2016. I was still on terminal leave when I got that gig, you know?
Oh, wow. Where do you see it going? Like, what do you want to like get actually into the studio with them and like do it? Like, I mean, it
would be cool. I mean, I was just in there the other day, and it's cool because I can come in. But I mean, I'd love to have my own show. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. I think that'd be anybody's, you know, comic or whatever. But you know, just trying to do the thing. Like my biggest goal really is just to keep doing, you know, stand up comedy, man. You know, like. Yeah. And the thing is, like, USO tours are always the best. You know what I mean? Like, I loved being a CB dude. That was like the best thing for me. You know, I did 20 years of doing that. And so I still got troops that are like everywhere. You know, I mean, battalions, no matter what, they'll always deploy, you know? Yep. So as long as people are out there, I want to give somebody that moment where their mind isn't on all the bullshit for a little bit. Totally. And that brings it right back to that whole Robin Williams thing, man. Like that's what my goal is. You know, if I can do it, like not just myself, but grab a couple comics. There's some really fucking funny military comics, and they're at the store right now, which is cool because there usually wasn't any veterans there. You know, I think Sean Halpin was like the only one I knew. But like right now, you got fucking Brian Simpson's hilarious, dude. Mitch Burrow, another hilarious. And those guys are two doormen that are at the comedy store, and yeah, and they're getting after it. They're hardworking, good comics, you know.
So your goal would be to end up being like maybe like a Robin Williams, getting into movies, getting into like big time comedy, having your own show.
Not more like a Bob Hope than a Robin Williams. You know, I mean, yeah, I could do movies here and all that, but the thing is, it's just Bob Hope. He's the one who did the USO. He's the one who. That's why we have them. You know, and some friends already called me. I've been called the Bob Hope of the CBs. I've been called the Lemmy of the CBs, like the Lemmy Kilmister from Motorhead, because like. I forget how he broke it down. It was something like this, like Metallica and all these other bands were huge, big bands, but they wouldn't have been where they were if it wasn't for Lemmy. I was like, no way. Cause I everything I have all kinds of Motorhead shit. And I was like, thank you so much. That actually made me feel good.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. It's cool, man. I fucking loved it. You know,
are you going to stay in California or are you just going to stay wherever?
I'm just going
wherever it takes you.
I'm just going wherever it goes. You know what I'm saying? Like I love being out here, but if I had a gig in New York, like doing maybe the fucking, somebody's like, hey, come out to the Stand or, you know, one of the comedy clubs up there. I would love to just be bi-coastal and go back and forth, have my own place. Like living here is cool. I love it. Who doesn't love this weather? You know what I'm saying? Like we're sitting on the fucking beach. It's March.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like our worst weather was yesterday when it rained.
Yeah, pretty much.
And in the Midwest, you'd call that a sprinkle.
Right. This has been like the wettest winter though we've had in like probably, dude, since I was a kid for sure. Man.
Oh yeah, man.
This is gnarly. Like it's been so much rain lately. But today is like I was it's still cloudy like by my house, and then so I was driving out west, and I'm like, shit, dude, the clouds are clearing up, man. You got down here, and it's like, fuck, man, it's like blue skies, dude. It's awesome.
Hello, blue sky, Mr. Blue Sky. Yeah, you got that ELO song somewhere. Mr. Blue Sky.
So, well, that's fucking awesome, man. I think it's fucking dope. And if there's anything that like I can do to connect you with certain people that are in that, you know, USO community, military community. I mean, you obviously were in it for 20 years, so you probably know more people than I do, but.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is too, is like anybody that's doing anything military wise, or they're doing it, especially after, like I would love to have anybody that's like got a business and they're, I mean, like legit, not ripping motherfuckers off. You know what I'm saying? Just got
There's
those
a lot of that.
fucking assholes too, pieces of shit. But I mean, people that are actually out there that are like getting after it on their own program. I'd love to help out, man. Like if I could, same with you, man. I mean, if there's people that are doing their own thing, I'd like to have them on my show as well. Yeah, it's just I don't know. I think what it is like we got a family, and like we're all, might not be blood, but we're all like came from this village. You know what I mean? Like the military is like this village, and we kind of like graduated and we moved on. Some people are still in. If they're still in, they're doing their thing. Well, good for them, but. You know, when you leave it behind, you put the uniform away, you still wear your years on your heart. You know what I'm saying? And
totally.
And a lot of things too, is just like, especially if you're a vet and you're listening to, if you're not even a vet, if you're fucking just going through some shit, just reach out. You're not a pussy, dude. If you need help, you need help. You know, you don't have to admit it like right off the bat. Just, you know, just talk to somebody and be around people.
Yeah.
It's hard to reach out. I mean, I was there a couple times, man, where it's just, and that's why I can identify with why it's so hard to just not, because you feel like you're bothering people,
right?
And you're not, you know.
And
but
there's a stigma with it too, man.
Yeah,
I mean, at the end of the day, and that's kind of where I think it's going. Like lately, is people are waking up to the idea. I mean, you're seeing these people that are just. I mean, I think part of it is that there's access to information is so much better than it used to be. So now when somebody kills themselves or somebody like goes down that rabbit hole of depression or whatever, there's a lot more awareness to it. People are like, oh, dude, check this dude out. He's like, everyone knows him. He's a super famous guy and he fucking killed himself. You know? It's like
everybody, I think it goes two ways because you're like, oh, what? It happened with Chris Cornell. And then, or it's like, oh, how come that motherfucker's got all that? You know,
right.
Yeah, because everybody knew him. That's why everybody, you know, gets
for sure. But I think it's bringing awareness to it. And I think it's like ending part of the stigma of discussing mental health, you know, especially in the veteran community. I think it's a big deal because a lot of guys are prideful and they don't want to talk, you know.
I think what sucks too, and I don't want to turn into one of those conspiracy theory things, but I think what really sucks too is that like I think we get too oversaturated with medication, you know, when there's other like things where it's so easy just to, and I think you went down that road too, right? You know,
totally did.
It's so easy for people to just throw fucking meds and say, this is what you need this without actually hearing what their problem is, you know, like
they don't have time, dude. That's at the end of the day is you have a 15-minute appointment and then
I found
it's like,
that,
all right, cool. Here you go. Here's some meds because you had this symptom, but it's like, we're losing sight of like where it's like, hey, you know, my best friend died. I'm depressed. Well, fuck, you're supposed to be depressed.
Yeah,
that's a normal human reaction.
You need to feel those emotions.
Yeah, but everyone just wants to mask it, you know.
Exactly, and that's where the problem is. And in my opinion, is like when we're doing that with meds and stuff like that with folks, it's just like being an alcoholic, because like a lot of times when you have like a shit you're trying to live through, but it's so much easier just to be high or drunk, and you don't even think about the bullshit. You're more just thinking about getting fucked up, you know, and that's in the long run, that's the same thing, like over medicating people. I found that like if I smoke a bowl towards the end of the night or something like that and just chill out and relax, play some Red Dead Redemption 2, chill out. Oh, by the way, I'm Obi96 on Xbox, and I think I'm
that's awesome.
So hit me up on that. But no, like if you're playing, you know, just some Xbox and trash talking and fucking at the end of the night, smoke a bowl, and then it just helps my muscles relax and I get some sleep.
Does that help you with your comedy? Does it help you like come up with material?
Not at all.
Really?
No, I don't. No.
I find that shocking.
I don't do any of that stuff like at all. Like I am like 100% like when it comes to that, it's business, dude. It's just like, I don't drink before I drive. You know what I mean? Like, and
I mean,
a
like
lot of other
it
people,
doesn't open like the creative, because I feel like sometimes
I might think of something funny.
Right.
You know, you smoke a bowl, you might think of something funny, and you might write it down. Right. But realistically, I think most of the stuff that are just everything when I do writing, a lot of times it just comes like, oh, this works. I better write this down right the fuck now.
Yeah.
You know, like just thinking about funny shit. Like, you know, I had to do, and I was a guest speaker for the CB Ball, which that's a fucking big honor, you know?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that just I thought was funny. So I started writing it down. Like, you know, like we call them up armored vehicles, right? Because we didn't want to call it a heavy metal, fully armored fart box on wheels, you know? And it's just like, oh, because fart box, you know, fully automatic fart box sounds funny. If you put those words together, fully automatic fart box, that's funny, right? So it's just like, all right, how do I word these words into a sentence to make it a punchline to a joke? Yeah. So it's just like up armored, fully automatic fart box on wheels. So that's right there. Now that's the punchline. How do I get to here? And then, you know what I mean? So then that's all right, cool. I will do that. And then I'm not dissing Seinfeld. It's just not my kind of comedy, but I love that dude's work ethic, and I love his cars and that show Coffee with Comedians and Cars or whatever. Yeah. But like, I wasn't a big, cause he's a clean comic, and you know, but I love his fucking work ethic, and I love the way he had a thing on writing, and you can check that out too. And he talks about how to write and all this other stuff, and it was great. But like I said, I respect and admire that guy a lot for those, you know. Same with like Doug Stanhope. Always.
Who taught you? Like, who taught you how to do, like, when you started doing comedy, did you have like a mentor that you were like going to like kind of
not
like,
really
how to put your material together?
No. I think just going up and watching, that's the biggest thing. The best words ever said were, to me, was like when I first started hanging out and I was asking people questions about how do you go up and blah, blah, blah. This dude named Earl Skakel, he used to wear hockey jerseys. He used to have hair like fucking, what was that? What's that guy's name? He does all the funny songs like other people's songs. Weird Al. He used to have long curly hair like Weird Al used to, and he used to wear hockey jerseys all the time. And I was like, you know, what advice would you give? And don't, you know, but no, he would say, be yourself and have fun, and just be yourself. Right. And that's what I always try to do, is just be yourself. And then you'll stumble upon like Bill Hicks's principles of comedy. That's a really cool thing. It's really good for how to help yourself write, if you're looking at that. And then just watch other people. Don't steal their shit, obviously, but watch other comics. You know what I mean? Like, how do they address a crowd? You know, like, do they acknowledge this? And also hecklers, that's a big thing. Like, how do you deal with it? But it's kind of like, you can stand-up comedy, it's like being in combat, you know what I mean? Because like, you can go to the range all day long, you know, you can train, you know, and you can do convoy drills, you can fire a 5.56 or a 9mm, whatever. But the thing is you got to actually be in combat to know that this is what a firefight is like. Right. You know what I mean? Like, this is an interaction I'm going to have with these people. And also in the back of my head, a lot of the working with the American Hockey League, a lot of the enforcers I loved talking with, and they were always into making sure that people that spent hard-earned money to come watch you play hockey got their money's worth, you know? And that's why it's like, if somebody paid to watch me do stand-up, I'm going to make sure that they get their money's worth. And not just that, I want them to come back again, you know? Sure.
Yeah, I thought about doing like an open mic, you know? Right. I don't think I'm the funniest dude alive, but like I get pretty animated when I tell a story. Right. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and she was doing stand up, and she's like, you totally need to do it, man. Just get up there. And I think it helps, like doing a presentation at work or doing like whatever, talking to people in a social setting. It's like, you just get over that fear of like the public speaking. You get over the hump of, you know, you're always going to, I think it's like getting punched in the face. All right. We'll go to that. Cause it's just like, you're scared to get punched in the face. And then when you get punched in the face, you're like, oh, it's not that bad, you know, but you never really want to get punched in the face. But like,
if you get into a fight, you're not afraid to get into a fight now. Cause you know, like, oh, what's worse happening? If we get, God, this is going to suck. I'm going to punch him in the face. And that's like the, like when you go up and then when you're up there, it's like, oh, this ain't that bad. Yeah. It didn't really turn into like a boxing match. It's just more like jujitsu, but verbally, you know, and that's it. You're doing verbal jujitsu with your jokes and that's it. Just get up and fucking do it. And, it's the scariest thing to a lot of people. I believe that it's fucking tough at first, but
you think the guys that are like big time still get nervous? Like
they do.
Like my favorite comic. We'll do another shameless plug here. Joe Rogan. Like I fucking think he's hilarious, bro.
Yeah.
I think part of the comedy that I love about Joe Rogan is that it's like real life shit. You know what I mean? Like he applies it like where like I feel like not only am I laughing my ass off, but it's like I'm learning something like in the process because I think he's a pretty brilliant dude.
Right.
You know?
And that's another person to watch because Rogan, Burr, Chappelle, fucking just watching a lot of these guys that go up and they talk about their day-to-day lives. Yeah. You know, Steve Randolph's your boy. He's fucking funny too. And it's just like, and you watch these comics and it's just like, okay, this is how they're doing it. They're doing it real shit. And the thing is just like, that's your time, man. You know what I'm saying? And it's tough for everybody. I don't care who you are. There's going to be a gig here and there where you get nerve wracking. Like if I'm doing certain clubs or places like that, it doesn't bother me at all. I just feel at home. I feel like I'm talking in my living room. And that's what happens with a lot of people at the store. You know, if you're a store guy, you know, they might feel that way in one of the rooms. And then in another room, it's like you're in a whole nother person's house, even though it's still the same club, but you know, and that's the thing. Like if you should always be like worried, I think, because that makes you want to be better. I think. Yeah,
that makes sense, dude.
You know,
so where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I don't know. Fucking not dead. I hope.
Above ground.
No, like 5 years from now, hopefully I'm just touring more. I'll probably get passed by a couple more clubs and then being on the road a lot more. And I would love to still be doing my little role I have at KLOS.
Yeah.
Because I love that organization. Fucking the people I work with are amazing. It's a great rock station. And but if I was able to get a gig, like, dude, I'd go to Virginia Beach if they gave me a spot on FM 99. I love that. I love that place, man. And you know, or New York. Or I would go where, you know, where I could get further myself.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I love Virginia, and that's why I left Virginia, though. But I want to do one more deployment, but also like the comedy thing. That's where I peaked off.
Yeah.
You can't go any higher than the Funny Bone there. You know what I mean? So the second you hit that level, you got to move on. Yeah, because like you're like a big fish, small pond, and then the second you get there, you know, then you're fucking. That's it. But,
yeah. So I'm gonna ask you a couple questions, bro.
Of course.
So if you had one, if you had one person or book, whatever, doesn't matter, that inspired you the most your entire life, who would that person be, or what would that book be, and why?
Could it be a movie?
Totally.
Okay, because there's a movie called The Longest Yard. And
the one with Burt Reynolds?
Yeah, from back in the day, and it's fucking. There's a part in that movie. There's a lot that inspired me over the years, but there's the one in this that really pushed me over was when he's like, ask caretaker punched the warden in the face, and he asked caretaker, was it worth it? And he's like, oh, you better believe it was, you know. So, we just got distracted. That girl was beautiful.
Yeah, but, I was looking more at the dog, but
I was not.
Well, she's training her big ass pit
was
bull,
not.
And,
pit bull is beautiful too, but her ass is better. But yeah, and there's that part in that movie where it's just like, you know, he hit was it worth it? You know, he hit the warden, and all right, yeah, worth it. And then, you know, and then Cool Hand Luke, that was another one too. We're just like sometimes a cool hand, or sometimes having nothing is a pretty cool hand, you know, and just. There's a lot of things like that, you know.
For sure. The next one is if you had one lesson, like the biggest lesson that you learned in your life that you could like impart on, you know, whether it be a new boot coming in or just, you know, a youngster or whatever that hasn't really experienced much of life yet, what would that lesson be and why?
Never, ever, fucking ever forget where you came from and who helped you get to where you are. Ever. You know what I'm saying? Never. And because
it's huge.
Yeah, man. And the thing is too, is never stop push, you know, like never stop pushing people to further themselves. Yep. And because everybody that's helped you get to where you are, has been somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like that, and also like a lot of those people that, and it's a fucking awesome thing when you have the opportunity to help somebody that helps you out. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like, you just always stay in the pursuit of paying it forward, you know, and that way you don't get behind it. And then stop worrying about what other people think and fucking do it for the people. Another thing too, like this is what I really wish I would have thought of more when I was younger, and I think about it more now, is, you know, and as I guess still like an advisor for people in the military, and, you know, as somebody that's, you know, as a comic, was that I totally lost my thought. No, I'm just kidding. It's just like, stop worrying about what other people think about you. You know, don't
huge,
do it. Don't do it because people say you can't. Do it for the people who say you can. You know what I mean? Because those guys are still going to be there, you know, and you're not in competition. If you're a comic, stop competing with other comics, dude. Comedy is not like a sport. I get it. Like there's some, it's kind of cutthroaty because you want to get passed by a club and you want somebody else to get, you want the spot. There's like 10 spots in this place and that's it. And there's 500 people that want these 10 spots. I understand that. But when you're worried about what the other people are doing, you're not worried about your writing. You're not worried about your jokes. You're not worried about you being you. Yeah. And that's the thing. You got to be you. That's it. Fuck everybody else. So that being said, we all rise together. So if you are busting your ass to make yourself a better comic and you're helping other comics, you know, then they're going to get better. Yeah. So then and that's just going to push yourself to just want to keep on doing that. So
definitely, man. Well, hey, brother, I appreciate you coming on and
hell yeah, man,
sharing your story. And, you know,
I hope I was okay.
Dude, stop it.
Did I say anything funny?
Dude, this guy.
Dude, no, thanks. And ditto, man. I mean, like, let's throw this out there, like, too, is like, I appreciate you coming on mine, and I loved your story, too. You know, I mean, you went through some pretty fucking hardcore shit. Yeah. And another thing, too, we didn't talk about, too, is just like, oh, man, a lot of addiction and stuff that's out there in this world, it's really easy to get caught up in your regular life. So just try to live to be happy, not because you're, you know, don't worry about the chemicals in this world, you know, don't let that pollute you and your soul because it steals your fucking soul, man.
Definitely. What's the best way for people to connect with you, man?
Well, Instagram's easy because like Josh96 O'Brien, if you hit me up on Instagram, there's no way I will not acknowledge somebody that hit me up on there. You know what I mean? Like message me, whatever. I spend at least, I try to at least spend time every day for people that hit me up. Like I have some people, I don't care who you are, dude. Like that sounded so asshole. I don't care who you are. No, no, I mean, like, I don't care what walk of life you're from. Like if you're one of my troops from back in the day or somebody I grew up with in Fremont, Ohio, or, you know, fucking in Temperance, Michigan, I don't give a shit. Like, you know, or we're in Fallujah together, whatever it is, you know, or you just like my stickers and you want some, I will fucking sell you some. That's totally cool.
Yeah.
But, and also the Civilianization podcast. I just try to talk to a different veteran about cool shit. It could have been combat, could have been chlamydia. I don't care, but I want to talk to different veterans.
Combat or chlamydia. That should be a catchphrase.
Yeah, that's actually kind of is.
That's fucking funny, dude.
So
anyway, well, yeah, man. Like I said, dude, thanks again for coming on. And
sure.
They can find the Civilization podcast on iTunes, Spotify, where
iTunes, Spotify, Podomatic, Stitcher. I think I'm on the Google thing. I'm not sure.
Well, cool, man.
So I always, I don't know how you end them. I always end my shows like this. For all those I followed, thanks for making me a better leader. For all those I've led, thanks for making me a better person.
I like that, dude.
And then check out the CB punk rock song. I took the CB song and I turned it into a punk rock song with my band, dude. It was
Where
great.
do they find it?
Just type it in YouTube. Type in YouTube. Yeah, CB punk rock song.
You guys got it, man. I'll see you soon, bro.
You got it.
All right, dude. Later.
Thank you for listening to My Backstory. Stay motivated and stay connected off the show. Follow at my_backstory_ to be a part of the journey to recovery and to see where your story goes. Or visit us online at hereismybackstory.com.